What did Falcons do? Rise up. Welcome to Rise Up Reactions, the show where we talk all things Falcons, NFL, Georgia sports, and drill on the sports news of the day. I'm your host, Dr. Lee Denning, lifelong sports fan. So last week ended up going 9-6 and I guess 1 on the record for my picks last week. Was surprised by some of the games last week. Definitely didn't anticipate the Broncos losing. Didn't anticipate the Bengals losing. To be fair, the Bengals should have won. They had many opportunities to actually win the game in spite of giving up 5 turnovers overall. And then you had a tie, which nobody ever predicts. So I'm gonna give myself a little pat on the back there. Had a couple of hot takes that worked out, a couple that didn't, but overall the Rams did not play as well as I thought they were going to, which really threw me off right at the beginning. The Cowboys losing Dak really hurt their shot for the future, but the Buccaneers played a very complete game overall. So overall, not too bad. 9-6-1, not a bad way to start. I'll be keeping up with the record over the course of the season, and if you want to play along with me, I'd love to hear some of your picks too and see how you do against me. But we'll move right on into week 2 because this is our week 2 prediction video. So right out the gate, we have today actually the Los Angeles Chargers at the Chiefs. Now I had another video actually already done, ready to go from my home studio, already doing this last night. Didn't end up taking. We still have internet issues at home, so for the time being, I'm going to be stuck in the office. I've got some production value things I'd like to add into my videos. I just don't have that software here at the office. But just I can't upload videos right now. It's not consistent internet connection. It's just a little bit of a pain with the tools that I have to work with there. But anyways, Chargers at Chiefs. So the Chargers are a little banged up right now. I initially had them winning this game, but they're missing Keenan Allen. I'm not sure that Austin Eckler is going to be all that healthy. He may not be playing. If they don't have their 2 big weapons, I'm not sure that Herbert can actually win this game with the Chiefs being fairly healthy overall. I still think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring affair in the sense that I think there's going to be more than 50 points total scored. I initially had the Chargers. I'm going to give it to the Chiefs, though, because I have new information now about injuries that I didn't have last night when I was making these predictions. So I predict the Chiefs will win tonight. It will be close, though. The next game we have is the Patriots at the Steelers. Now, the Patriots did not look good in their debut at Miami. They don't typically look good in Miami, though, so that's not really saying a whole lot. Steelers are down. Najee Harris is limited right now, and they're out T.J. Watt for a few weeks at least. So I actually am going to give this one to the Patriots. I think they win this game. It'll be ugly. I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring affair, but I do think that the Patriots come out and end up winning this game. Moving on, Panthers at Giants. I said last week the Giants are a better team than they were the year before. They've made a lot of improvements. They have a new coaching staff, and they're trying to build a winning culture. I also said that if Saquon Barkley returned to form from his early time in the league, that they would be really good. Wasn't wrong. They did have a shot at losing the game on a last-minute field goal, but thank you, Randy Bullock, for missing a last-minute field goal that would have won the game. So the Giants, and then you got the Panthers. Panthers had a heartbreaking loss. A lot of calls did not go their way against the Cleveland Browns. I think the Panthers probably should have won that game. But again, they're not a terrible team. I just still think the Giants in New York, this will be a close one. Probably both teams are going to score in the 20s, but I think it's going to be the Giants over the Panthers this week. Then we move on to Browns versus Jets at the Browns. The Browns have unveiled a unholy, demonic-looking, terrifying elf that apparently has some historical meaning as their midfield logo. Brownie is the thing of nightmares, and I think it's going to give the Jets some nightmares here. The Jets don't look great with Flacco at the helm. They're not quite there yet. I've been giving them a little more credit than they actually deserve at this point. Michael Carter did look like the better back than Breece Hall last week, though I do think that's Breece Hall's job in the long run. The Browns are a better team overall, just from head to toe, in terms of depth, in terms of position. Jacoby Brissett is the only problem there. I do think that the Browns will beat the Jets in Cleveland. It would not surprise me if this was a close one or if the Jets pulled one out, but we're still talking about what should be bottom-feeding teams until Deshaun Watson comes back in Week 13. Then you've got the Jaguars versus the Colts at the Jags. Jags had a heartbreaking loss to the Commanders / Commies, whichever you want to call them. Commies looked pretty good at different times. Carson Wentz played a pretty complete game overall and did lead his team to victory. The Jaguars didn't look terrible. They had their moments. James Robinson still looks like a better back to me than Travis Etienne. So if you took James Robinson in the 11th or 12th round of fantasy, kudos to you. You had to pay a 4th or 5th round price for Etienne. The Colts didn't look great in their debut with Matt Ryan. I think they will be better and bounce back this week. I do think they're the better team, again, head to toe here. So I'm going to give it to talent and say the Colts win at the Jags. Then you have Dolphins-Ravens. This is going to be a really good game overall. The Dolphins are quite healthy, and Tua did not look bad, but he didn't look great either. He had over 300 yards, but don't let that fool you. Tyreek Hill has made Tua look a lot better so far. I think Tyreek Hill finds the end zone this week. Ravens, they're still down as of right now. Their 2 starting running backs, and their run game did not look great. However, Lamar Jackson still beat the Jets through the air with pretty convincing fashion, so I'm not super worried about it. I think they'll eventually get their run game going. But I don't think it'll be against the Dolphins, who have a pretty stout defense this year. I am going to pick Dolphins in a close one against the Ravens in Baltimore. Next, we have the Saints versus Buccaneers. This is another game that should be one of the highlights of the 1 o'clock hour. Saints looked like Swiss cheese on their offensive line and really didn't look great overall against their game against the Falcons. They did make an amazing comeback in the last 12 minutes where Atlanta pulled in Atlanta and lost after having a 97.1% chance of winning per ESPN statistics. So again, from the jaws of victory, we snatch defeat. That's the Falcons' way for the last 5 years. But the Saints have the Buccaneers' numbers. The Buccaneers played an incredibly complete game in spite of missing key pieces on their offensive line. Brady didn't get all that much pressure on him. They played pretty well overall. Leonard Fournette had over 100 yards. I think it's going to be a ground and pound game for them this time as well, as I do think the secondary for the Saints is probably one of their better features. All that said, Saints do have the Buccaneers' numbers in the last few years, especially with Tom Brady at the helm, and it's at New Orleans. That's an incredibly hostile environment. I am going to give it to the Saints in a close one there. Last game of the 1 o'clock hour, we had the Lions and the Commies at the Lions. I still believe in the Lions. The Lions should be the number 2 team in that division this year. The number 3 team in that division this year. Giving it to the Lions. I think they edge out the Commies in Detroit with a packed-out stadium and people still being just overly ecstatic about their performance last week. In spite of the defense looking terrible, their offense did bounce back. DeAndre Swift had more than 100 yards rushing, several receptions. I think TJ Hawkinson was underutilized last game. I think he will be utilized again, and he will probably find the end zone against the Commies this week. So that will be an okay one. But again, 2 teams that are probably still going to be sub 500 this year. But Lions, I do give them the edge here. Moving into the 4 o'clock slate, we have 5 games total here. Seahawks at 49ers. Now, Seahawks surprised everyone with a win over the Broncos. I don't think anybody thinks they actually deserved the win. They probably should have lost. I don't know what Denver was doing. They had more than 12 chances on goal line stances to find the end zone. They did not do it in any of them. They fumbled a couple of them away. I look for that to fix itself later on. But as far as the 49ers go, they look terrible in horrible conditions against the Chicago Bears. Elijah Mitchell is out for about 6 to 8 weeks at this point. Like I said in my fantasy videos, San Francisco has not in the last 5 years finished with the same running back as the top scoring running back as the year prior. So if you took him, I'm so sorry. I told you this was probably going to happen, but I didn't think it would be for injury. I think 49ers at home do walk away with the win here. So I'm going to give it to them, even though I think neither team is particularly good right now. I don't think we've seen the final form of either of them, though, so we'll just have to wait and see on that one. Next game, this one is going to be tugging at my heartstrings. Falcons at Rams. I would definitely like to watch this game. I think the Rams are going to bounce back in a big way. Falcons, it'll be interesting to see what we can do from a pressure standpoint against the Rams' offensive line. The Bills were making it look like Swiss cheese last week, so hopefully we can do the same. Build off of those 4 sacks that we had last week, which again is almost 25% of our entire sack total from the year 2021. So very pleased with the way the Falcons played on defense overall, even though the last 12 minutes were not good. I blame the coaches to some degree on that. But the Rams, they are better top to bottom on paper. They are probably going to win this game. It's in LA, so I'm going to give it to the Rams. And I think it'll be pretty convincing. The spread right now is 10.5 points. I don't know if it'll be that convincing, but the Rams should be in control of this game for most of it. Darrell Henderson probably is going to be the lead back if Cam Akers is still not ready to go. Don't know why he didn't get the rock at all last week. So fantasy owners of Cam Akers should be concerned to be looking at Darrell Henderson if he's on waivers. Moving on, Raiders and Cardinals. At the Raiders, Cardinals looked not terrible, but neither did the Raiders. I think Devontae Adams makes a difference for them here. Raiders with Derek Carr, I think they take it this week. It'll be a pretty close game, but I do like the Raiders over the Cardinals this week. Moving on to the Texans at Broncos. Broncos, again, I think they bounced back. They had an off game with a brand new coach, and I think that Russell Wilson, you paid him $242 million. Let him play. There was no reason to kick a 64-yard field goal. Matt Prater has never made a greater than 60-yard field goal, and you put the game on his shoulders in a hostile environment in terrible conditions. Why would you do that? Go for the 4th and 5. The odds were much, much better that you were going to get that. Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Alberto, you had the pieces there. And then you have Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon as well. You have offensive pieces to get those yards and get them in a better position for the field goal. So I am not pleased with how they played last week. Texans, I think, played above their station last week. I do think they have some good pieces on the team, but I don't think they're going to be able to stand up against the Broncos. So I am giving it to the Broncos here. Then we go to Bengals-Cowboys. This is the final game of the 4 o'clock slate. Cowboys, unfortunately, are going to be playing Cooper Rush unless they make a different quarterback decision. I think it's too late this week to make any significant moves. I think they would be incredibly lucky to find a decent replacement level quarterback for the next 6 to 8 weeks while Dak is out with a broken thumb. That said, if it were me, I would be looking to make a trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. Not a first rounder, but I would definitely be looking to make a move to try and get him because I think he's a good game manager and could definitely make some plays there. The other thing that I think would be good, but I don't think will happen because it's with the division rival, Gardner Minshew is deserving of being a starting level quarterback. Maybe not quite a top 20 guy, but he's one of the top 32 guys in the NFL right now. And I think that at quarterback position, I think he does deserve a chance to play. And if he's with the Cowboys, not a team that is sucking and is planning to suck and has nothing around him, if he has the pieces around him, I think he could be a fine quarterback. So Gardner Minshew would be an amazing pick. I don't know what they'd have to give up to, again, a division rival, Eagles, to get him. But I do like him if he goes there. Bengals, however, they're going to bounce back. They're not going to have 5 turnovers. They're not going to give up as many sacks. Bengals are going to beat the Cowboys this week in Dallas. Finally, we have Sunday night game, Bears at the Packers. If Alan Lazard is healthy, I think the Packers are going to take this all the way. Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. So I do like the Packers overall here. The Bears didn't play the most complete game in the world, but it was also a typhoon, so I don't think that's an accurate display of what they actually can do. But I am giving this one to the Packers, even in unideal conditions. I think the talent's just better, and it's at Green Bay, so I will give it to them. Then we have Monday night doubleheader. We have the Titans at the Bills. Titans have gotten worse. I've said it again and again. The Titans are not the team that they were. They are not as good as they once upon a time were. Ryan Tannehill is not the guy. I look for Malik Willis to get a shot here in the next few weeks if they are not on a winning streak. Bills, they proved why they deserve to be a playoff team last week, taking down the reigning Super Bowl champs. Bills all the way here. And then finally you have the more interesting of the 2 matchups with 2 winning teams, the Vikings at the Eagles. I am going to give it to the Eagles only because it is in Philadelphia. I think that the Vikings are a slightly better team overall, but in a hostile environment, Monday Night Football, which Kirk Cousins has historically been just absolute dog shit in. I'm going to give it to the Eagles there. But that's just what I think. So let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like the video, consider subscribing. It would really help us out and help the channel grow, help the YouTube algorithm start throwing my video out to more people. But again, guys, I'm having fun with this so far, and thanks for watching. Until next time, rise up.